Hello everyone, happy Wednesday. It's time for another episode of Wednesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today, even though it's Wednesday, I am live to share with you 3 fun projects and pretty easy projects with the Joyful Flurry bundle by Stampin' Up. Now, normally I do my lives on Tuesday, and you may have seen that I had to postpone to today because my son got a whole bunch of academic awards last night at his school's award ceremony. We are super proud of him, and he is following in mom's footsteps as an artsy fartsy kid. So we had such a great night celebrating him and all of the students that received awards last night. But as a result, I had to postpone my live until today. So I'm just getting a notification. I'm going to get rid of that on my phone. And we are, as I said, all about the Joyful Flurry bundle. I'm going to show you 3 projects. 2 of them feature heat embossing. I've already done that ahead of time, just in the interest of getting through this. Actually, when I designed these projects, I was thinking I was going to try to squeeze in my live before I went to the award ceremony, and I just realized it was going to be too tight, which is why I postponed. However, we are going to get to it today. I'm going to stop chit-chatting. I'm going to flip the camera, and we're going to get going. Now, before I do, let me just see who is joining me here. Where are we? Here we are. Oh, hi, Cheryl. Hi, Anne. Welcome. All right, I'm going to flip the camera. I know not everybody is used to me being live on Wednesday, so I have a feeling some people will forget. That's okay. That's what replays are for. But that's just the way it is, right? When you have to switch from the norm. So I'm going to flip the camera, and we are going to get started. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay. Hi, Deb. Hi, Laura. Hi, Heather. Welcome. Oh, sunny and 24 in Calgary. Send it this way, Deb. It is cold, rainy, and miserable here. We're supposed to get snow flurries overnight. So I guess it's appropriate that I'm using a snowflake bundle today. Yeah, it's yucky here. All right, so the Joyful Flurry bundle is on page 19 of the mini catalog. It's beautiful. And one of the things I love best about this bundle, you're going to see it on the second card, are these dies that only partially cut the image, and it creates a 3D pop-out effect. And they're so cool. So I'm going to show them to you. You'll see them in action, and we're going to get to it. So let me get this out of the way. Show you the bundle. So we have some snowflake images, sort of spatter stamp. I think it's supposed to look like falling snow. And then we have some fun sentiments with awesome fonts. And then, of course, we have our dies. So obviously the open dies cut out the stamped snowflakes. We have 2 label dies. We have 2 small snowflakes that cut entirely. And then the rest of these are partial dies. So they don't cut the entire shape. But they are designed to create this pop-out effect on your card. So kind of different. We've never had a snowflake set like this before, and I'm really having fun playing with it. So that is the bundle. Let me set that aside, and we're going to get to it. Hi, Penny. Hi, Judy. How are you? Hi, Grace. Hi, Claire. So the first card we're going to put together is this one. And I say put together because I have done all of the heat embossing ahead of time. As I mentioned, I had originally thought that I would be doing this video yesterday and trying to squeeze it in before we went to the award ceremony. So I did a lot of work ahead of time on this one. So it's just really assembly, but I am loving the combination of very vanilla gold and black. Such a stunning combo. And you could easily turn this into a New Year's card without a whole lot of effort. So it kind of does double duty. Even a winter birthday or wedding card would be beautiful. All right, so let me get out all my bits. As I said, I've done most of the prep work ahead of time here. So I have to start a piece of very vanilla cardstock. It's 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and I have heat embossed the snowflake images in gold. So pretty and shimmery. I have to say, heat embossing is what sold me on stamping. It is what the first time I saw it, I was like, I need all the things to do that at home. And that was it for me. Absolutely love this technique. So we've got our heat embossed panel, and then I have some of the beautiful what is this called? Holidays Aglow Designer Series paper. So this is cut to 1.5 by 4, I think. Yes, 1.5 by 4. And it is going to run down here. But first we're going to layer it on a piece of gold foil just for a little extra shimmer. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Hi, Lucy. Welcome. Long time no see. It is nice to see your name pop up. I hope you're doing well. All right, so we have our gold foil on. We're going to put this on about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch in from that left edge. So again, I'm going to add a little bit of seal. And we're going to pop this on. I'm using the grid lines on my grid paper to help me get my piece on straight. Okay, and then we're going to layer that. Oh, forgot my ribbon almost, but I didn't. We can wrap it on here. So this is a piece of the Very Vanilla and Gold ribbon from the Holiday Mini. It's gorgeous ribbon. It's my favorite ribbon in the mini by far. So pretty and sheer and shimmery and easy to tie. So we're going to go ahead and just lay a little bit of this ribbon across our DSP strip here. So I'm just adding glue dots on either end and wrapping the ends around. Okay. Then we have this beautiful tag. Now this is cut using the painted labels dies. I don't often grab those, and I should grab them more because they're beautiful dies. They have a beautiful embossed edge. I have heat embossed the sentiment in gold as well. Okay. Now before we stick this onto our card, we're actually going to add a little bow to the back of the top left corner so that when we layer it over top, it's going to kind of look like a little tag wrapped, attached to our ribbon. So I'm going to just put a glue dot on that top left corner. Oh, hello, Shaz from the UK. Welcome. I'm glad you could join me today. Seeing some different faces on a Wednesday than I normally see on a Tuesday. It's great. All right, so there we go. We've got our bow on. Now we're going to go ahead and pop that up on the front of our card with a couple of dimensionals. So we'll kind of go 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm not going to put a dimensional here, but I am going to put another glue dot on the back of the knot, just to make sure that that corner stays stuck down onto my card. And then we're going to get rid of our backings. Hi, Elfie. How are you? Hi, Bonnie. Welcome. We are playing with snow today. And apparently we're going to get snow overnight. I just was looking at the forecast and was not liking what I was seeing. All right, so we're going to layer this. I love the little pop of black that really makes the gold and the DSP pop. So this is sized to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of adhesive to the back of our panel. And we're going to pop this on here just like this. Easy peasy. Okay, and then I have a thick Very Vanilla card base. Now you could use regular Very Vanilla. I just like the thicker cardstock for a base. I feel like it's a little bit firmer and it stands up a little bit better, but the regular Very Vanilla works just as well. This is sized to 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So I'm going to fold that in half along my score line. And add my panel to the front of my card base. So we're going to pop that on, just like that, okay? And then the last little touch, we kind of are doing a DIY embellishment. So I have one of the little die cut snowflakes cut from the same gold foil that I used to map my DSP. So I'm going to start by applying a glue dot to the back of that little snowflake. So I'll just grab that. And it's going to go right in that top corner of my tag, sort of over top of my bow. And then I have just a black matte dot that I'm going to add to the center of my snowflake, just to bring that little pop of black onto my sentiment element. And that's it. Now I'll quick show you what I did on the inside of this one. I actually originally, here's a little tip, okay, this is a fix. When you stamp your sentiment directly on your card base and it's crooked or it doesn't stamp well or you get a halo, what do? You cut a label, you stamp another sentiment, and you stick it over top. Okay, so that is my little quick fix tip for you. It looks lovely having the label in there, and then I just added an extra little 1/2 inch strip of the designer paper. So there you go, number 1, quick and easy. And that brings us to number 2. Number 2 is this one. I posted this earlier today, and I absolutely love the shades of purple with this bundle. I think it's just beautiful. It reminds me of those really crisp, cold January mornings that we get here, when it's kind of hazy and you get sort of that sort of purplish haze. It's just stunning. Not especially warm, but stunning. So that's what this card reminds me of. So let me show you how I did it. So we're going to start by pulling out our card front. So I have already gone ahead and done some die cutting here, as you can see, and I've also heat embossed my snowflakes in white. So this started as a piece of fresh freesia cardstock. It's 4 by 5 1/4 inches. Okay. Then I did my heat embossing in white, and then I die cut. Now, can you see that these are only partially cut out? You're going to see when I pop them out in a few minutes, but both of these dies are not fully cut. You have the impression of a snowflake, and parts of the arms of the snowflake pop up, but the entire image does not. Okay, so let me show you how we're going to add some of that shading. So this is sort of a little ink blending hack for you. If you are wanting to blend ink and you're short on time, start with colored cardstock. Okay, so I started with fresh freesia here. So I'm going to come in to start with a little bit of Gorgeous Grape. So I'm going to start around my edges, and I'm just going to start to darken down the edges of my fresh freesia panel here. Okay, and the cool thing about having embossed these snowflakes is the white embossing powder resists the ink as it's coming on. So the snowflakes will stay white. Now here it looks like it's kind of gone purple a little bit, but that's just because there's ink on the embossing. And I can take a tissue or a paper towel after we're done and give it a little bit of a wipe, and it will pop white again. So as you can see, I'm just adding a little bit of the Gorgeous Grape. I love the way that blends. It's so pretty already, isn't it? Just so gorgeous. Okay, so there's my Gorgeous Grape. Then I'm going to come in with a little bit of Orchid Oasis, which is one of our in colors. And I'm going to just add a little bit around the edges. I don't want to come on with too much because I don't want to darken this down too much. And I don't want to cover up all of that Gorgeous Grape. I just want a little bit of a darker shade around the outside edge. I don't know where that came from. It must have been a hair or something coming out of my brush. It's okay, we'll hide it. So we're just gonna go ahead and add, can you see the difference there? You can see the darker versus the lighter as I've added around the bottom and not the top. We're just gonna blend that corner a little bit more to try to hide that little smudgy. I don't know where that came from. So we'll just go all the way around. How many of you love blending ink? I absolutely, it's like I could do it on every card. I love our blending brushes. They make it so easy to blend ink and get beautiful even shading. All right, there we go. Isn't that pretty? Really quick and easy way to make such a difference on your project. All right, now I'm going to show you how to pop out our snowflake. So I'm going to just take my, take your pick. You can do this with a bone folder as well. And I'm just kind of tucking it in underneath these little die cut arms. And I'm kind of popping the arms up. Now they're not going to stay this popped. We're actually going to layer a die cut snowflake over top in a couple minutes. But it's easier to start with them popped way up because then you can kind of tuck them down a little bit afterwards. So it's really just a matter of taking, you could use the tip of your scissors as well if you don't have to take your pick, but honestly, if you don't have to take your pick, you need to put that on your next order. This is like your right hand. It's your Swiss Army knife of crafting. I don't know how I ever stamped without it before I got mine. It's just a fantastic tool that is always close at hand. I have several because, as you probably are aware, we crafters tend to be a little bit messy no, creative. I'm not going to say messy, but we tend to have piles of stuff as we are designing and crafting away, and these little tools can get lost very quickly underneath our creative mess. So I have several so that when I do lose one, I can just grab a backup really quickly. All right, there we go. So I popped all my arms up. Can you see the dimension on that? Isn't that cool? It's just such a neat way to add dimension to your project. So let me pull in now a couple of die cut snowflakes. So these are, again, cut with the smaller dies that cut all the way through. And what we're going to do is actually layer these over top of our little pop out. So this one's going to kind of layer in there. Now I'm actually going to tuck this. I'm going to put some glue on first. So I'm just going to take and add a little dab of liquid glue to the center of my pop out snowflake. And then I'm just going to kind of tuck this little guy in between the arms of my pop out. So I'm kind of like bending them in and around so that it still pops out. There we go. Can you see how they kind of interweave like that? Just a pretty look. Okay. And then we're going to add one here. Same kind of idea. So we're going to add a little bit of glue in the center. And again, I'm going to lay this down. And then this time I'm actually going to use my take your pick to pop these little guys out. Up and out. Come on. Maybe I won't use my take your pick. There we go. So they're just going to kind of interweave like that. And I just like the way that it doesn't, you know, compress the pop out. It allows those little pop out pieces to stand up, but it still allows me to layer that smaller sparkly snowflake over top. Now the small snowflakes are cut from the white Glimmer paper. It comes in a 6 by 6 inch pack with red and white, also in the mini catalog. And I love that we have white because you can color it any color you want. You can actually ink blend on Glimmer paper. Did you know that? And there we go. There are our popped up snowflakes. So, so pretty. Now I'm going to go ahead and layer this onto my mat here. So this is a piece of Orchid Oasis cardstock. It's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So it is going to layer behind our panel, and you're going to see how we see some of that Orchid Oasis color underneath our pop out pieces. So I'm going to add just a bit of liquid glue here so I don't have to compress my pop outs as I apply the seal. So we're just going to go a little bit around, touch in the middle there, and layer that. And the nice thing about the liquid glue is you can kind of wiggle things until you get them nicely centered. Okay, and then that is going to go on my card base. So my card base this time is a piece of thick Whisper White. We haven't had Whisper White in years. Thick basic white cardstock, 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we're just going to fold that in half along our score line. And I'm going to actually add my adhesive to my card base. I don't often do this, but again, I'm trying not to compress my little arms on my snowflake. So I want them to stay popped. So we're going to just kind of do it the opposite way that I normally would. And there we go. So there is our card front. All good to go. Let's just fluff this up a bit. Okay, now if you get one that's sort of laying down, you can just take your pick and pop it up like that. Okay, now I have here one of the little label dies. So there are 2 label dies in this set. There's a small little one like this and a larger one. You'll see the larger one on the next project. But I'm going to stamp my Happy Christmas sentiment in Orchid Oasis. Now I do have to give this a little test run. There we go. I always have to check to make sure that it's going to stamp straight when I think it is. There we go. And then we're going to add one of our Wonderful Snowflakes. So these come pre-laser cut. They are iridescent. They're actually a carryover from last year's mini catalog. So we're going to actually go ahead and layer our snowflake, and actually, yeah, we're going to do our snowflake and then a bit of ribbon. So I'm going to add a little bit of seal here. We're going to just pop our snowflake on. They're super light, so you don't need a ton of adhesive to stick them on. And then we're going to add some more seal, and we're going to do a little ribbon treatment here. So this is a great way to just add a little hint of color, or a little hint of ribbon rather, without actually having to tie a bow. So I've got my label here. I'm starting in one corner, and I'm going to essentially make an N, a letter N shape with my ribbons. You see the N there? And then I'm going to come in, I'm going to trim my tails. And the secret to this is you want to trim them at the same angle. Okay, do you see I've got the same angle? And then we're going to pop that onto the front of our card with a couple of dimensionals. So quick and easy way to add ribbon without the hassle. Well, for those of us who think it's a hassle, I personally don't. I love tying bows. But for those who are not big fans of bow tying, this is a great way to add some texture and some sparkle and shimmer with some ribbon without actually having to tie a bow. So we're going to go ahead and pop this onto the front of our card. We just want to make sure it's straight. Okay, and then I have a couple of iridescent rhinestones, just to add a little extra sparkle because every Christmas card has to sparkle. So we're going to add just a couple of these guys. We'll put one here, and then I've got two smaller ones that we're actually going to add to the centers of our die-cut snowflakes. So one, and come here, you. He wants to run away. And two. There we go. Easy peasy, right? Now, did I do something? Yes, I did. I just stamped some snowflakes. Look how pretty the snowflakes are just stamped in ink. Okay, I did a little flurry there and added a sentiment on the inside. So there you go. Easy peasy. Number two. Number three is a fun fold. Now, sometimes I like to go back to like simpler fun folds. Just try to put my take your pick lid on the wrong end. So this is a double Z fold. I haven't done one of these in a little while, but they are really pretty and a pretty accessible fun fold for those who are maybe a little bit newer to stamping or a little bit nervous about, you know, measuring and scoring. They're pretty straightforward measurements. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Super, super simple. So to start, we have our main panel. So this is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. It's pool party cardstock. And I have scored it with that 11-inch side at the top at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. So 5 1/2 would be half, right? So that's our regular card base. And then I scored half of one side. So 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. Okay. So we're going to start by folding that 5 1/2 inch score line. So we're just folding it in half like we would a regular card base. Okay. And then that 2 1/2 inch score line, we're going to fold back towards ourselves. Okay, and that creates a Z. Okay, so there is our base. Now, to that base, we're going to add a little bit of bling-a-da-bling. So, look at this gorgeous shimmer vellum. This is absolutely stunning. It's not part of, this bundle is not part of a suite, so this is not included in a suite, but it certainly could have been. It works beautifully with this stamp set. The vellum is quite opaque, like it's very, like you can kind of see a hint of light and images through it, but it's quite opaque, and it has this gorgeous iridescent print on it. So we're going to layer that. This is cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches, and then I have a piece of basic white that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So we're just going to layer that so that we have a white background. If we put it on here, we lose a little bit of that iridescence, or the impact of the iridescence if we put it directly onto the pool party. So we're going to do the layer of white. And because this vellum is quite opaque, you can actually get away with applying adhesive as you normally would. Now, I wouldn't recommend using liquid glue with this because liquid glue does cause vellum to sort of ripple. The moisture in the glue does not work well with the vellum. So you'll want to use some kind of tape to adhere it, but you can't see it. Like I put all the way around and you can't see it through the vellum, which is kind of cool. So then I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more adhesive, and we're going to layer this on our background panel. Okay, so we're going to pop this on right about here. Okay, so that's going going to give us a beautiful background. Now on this middle panel, you certainly could use more DSP, but we're going to do a little stamping because I thought you might want to see the stamps from this set actually in action, because I did all of the heat embossing ahead of time on most of the projects today. So we're going to stamp. So I'm going to bring in some Pool Party ink and 3 of the snowflake images from this set. And we're just going to stamp on this middle panel. So I'm going to add a large snowflake and a medium snowflake and a smaller snowflake. Just kind of falling down the center of that panel. Okay, now I'm going to leave these out because we're going to use them again in a couple minutes, but that is what we're doing on that center panel. Now this outside panel, which is going to be part of the front of the card, we're going to add a little bit more of that gorgeous vellum. So this time, this is cut to 2.5 by 4, and this is cut to 2 5/8 by 4 1/8. Okay, so that is going to layer on there, and again, I'm going to use my tape. You don't want to use liquid glue with vellum. Ooh. My seal doesn't like the vellum very much today. I think that seal, there's a little something up with it. It's not rolling as smoothly as it usually does. And then we'll add a little bit of adhesive to the back of our white panel. And we're going to pop that onto the front of the card. Now, if you're like me and you're kind of OCD about making sure the edges of your layers line up, you can close your card and then you can kind of match up the edges of your white panel with the edges of the larger panel behind. Okay, and that'll get it nice and even. Okay, so there is our base. Super pretty. That would, you could easily just add a little something here and call it a day, right? Just a simple Z fold, but we're going to do a double. So we're going to set that aside for a minute and bring in another piece of Pool Party cardstock. This is 3 by 9 inches. Okay, so 3 by 9 scored at 3 and 6. So I have 3 3-inch squares. So we are going to create our Z. So I'm going to start this time by at the top, just folding this one panel, the top square down. Okay, then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to fold the bottom panel up. Okay, and again, that creates a Z for us. Okay, so it's going to open. I'm actually going to do it this way. All right. Okay, now we are going to do a little bit of stamping. We have a basic white panel for the inside. This is where you can write your greeting. Now, if you want to say more than the space in here will allow, you certainly could add another basic white panel on the back and have a larger area to write. But sometimes it's nice when you're doing Christmas cards in a hurry, you know, trying to get them in the mail before December 25th. It's sometimes nice to just have a little space to write and you can just, you know, love the Gerses and we're done. Sometimes that's necessary. So I'm going to stamp my Joyful Wishes sentiment in Smoky Slate ink, just on that square. Now this is cut to 2 7/8 square. Okay, so it's going to layer inside that 3 by 3 inch square quite nicely. So we'll just add a little bit of adhesive here. And we're going to pop that in. Just like that. Okay, now just to be consistent with the background, we're going to stamp our snowflakes again on this middle panel. So I'm going to add, let's just do the small snowflakes this time. Hi Sonia, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. And we'll add another one, and maybe we'll do a little hint of the large one down here. Just kind of peeking on the bottom. There we go. Okay, so easy peasy, and these snowflake images are so detailed and so beautiful. So now we're going to close this, and then we're going to decorate the front panel. So again, I have some more. This is a different pattern from the same pack. So this is sort of random polka dots. I think it's supposed to look like it's falling snow. So again, my white piece is cut to 2 7/8 square, and then this smaller vellum piece is cut to 2 3/4 square. Okay, so that's going to layer on there. So again, we'll add a little bit of adhesive. And we'll pop that on. There we go. And then that is going to go on to our the front of our small little panel here. So pop that on there. Again, we have really narrow little borders all the way around. I'm a big fan of narrow borders. You certainly could cut these to like even 1/8 of an inch instead of, or even 1/4 of an inch instead of 1/8 if you don't like cutting 1/8. Okay, now this is going to get adhered to the large card base. So this is going to get stuck on here. So to start, I'm going to apply adhesive all over the back. Now the one thing you want to take care of is that it's going to open this way, right? You don't want to put it on the wrong way and have it opening, you know, the wrong direction. So we're going to apply adhesive all over the back of our little 3x3 piece here. Just got seal on my vellum. Don't want to have that there. And then I'm just going to stick this down again, making sure it's opening the right direction. I'm going to center this on that background panel and hopefully get it relatively straight. Still got little bits of seal there. Okay. Then I'm going to open this front flap. I'm going to bring this one closed, and then I'm going to put some adhesive along here and stick it down, and that will give us our double Z fold. So a little bit of seal and sticker down, and voila. There is our easy fun folds. Okay, now it's just a matter of decorating. So I've already stamped and die cut some of the smaller snowflakes from the stamp set. So the only thing left to stamp really is our sentiment. So I'm going to bring in, it's a season of magic and wonder, and it truly is. And again, we're going to stamp in the smoky slate. Now this one is mounted a little high, I think. Yeah, okay. So we are going to do our best to get this centered. Doesn't always work as planned. So that was pretty good. Sometimes you just kind of have to hope and wing it. All right, so I have here some die cut snowflakes. So we're going to put one of the larger ones sort of behind this top left corner. So just up here like this. Okay, and then this little guy is going to go down here. So bottom right. Okay, and then I have a large die cut snowflake. Now, let me talk about this for a sec. So this is actually cut with this die, which is the same die that cuts this pop-out snowflake. So in order to cut it through, you actually just need to do a little bit of trimming. So I just kind of cut a small square of silver foil, ran this through, and then I just took my snips and I cut the little bit that was still, that hadn't cut through to give me a complete snowflake. Okay, so what I'm going to do actually is layer a small snowflake over top to kind of give me a double layered effect there. So I'm going to add just a little, oh, they're stuck together. I got tangled snowflakes. There we go. I'm going to add just a touch of liquid glue. And then I'm going to layer my smaller snowflake over top, just offsetting them. Okay, and while that's drying, I'm going to tuck this other little guy in behind down here. So I'm going to add just a little bit more seal. I'm just going to pull this up a touch for a second. And then we're just going to tuck this in under here like that. So it's kind of peeking out. Just like that. Okay. And then this one is going to go, whoops, see, it's not dry yet. The foil, silver foil, any of the metallic foils actually take a little bit longer to dry when you're using liquid glue. So you just have to be patient. So we're going to add that after. We're going to go ahead and stick this onto the front of our card. And then we will add our layered snowflakes in a minute. So we're going to go ahead and add some dimensionals to our label here. So now the cool thing about this is because when it's closed, this is centered on my card base, right? So I can center my label on my card base, and then when it opens, it kind of opens off to the side, which is kind of neat. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Thanks, Laura. I love adding little touches and details, right? That's what makes handmade cards special. All right, we're going to add this little bitty die cut snowflake. I'm just going to add a mini dimensional behind him. And he's going to go up here. And then we're going to add a glue dot. Let's see if these guys are stuck yet. Yeah, we're good. We're going to add a glue dot to the back of our large snowflake. Or larger, it's not really large. Relatively large. And then that is going to go in this top corner of my label. Okay, and then I have some of these gorgeous self-adhesive sequins. Now these are showcased in the catalog along with the bundle. Okay, so they're these, you actually get these awesome rhinestones and self-adhesive sequins in one pack. They're beautiful. So I'm going to use some of the sort of pool party colored sequins just to add a little bit of shimmer to my project. I'm going to put one right smack in the center of my layered snowflakes here, and there we go. Look at that, no bow. Can you believe it? Actually, I only put a bow on my very first card today. So there we go. Easy peasy fun folds, but so pretty. And honestly, that shimmer iridescent vellum is just absolutely stunning. So let me bring them all back. There you go. There are your 3 projects for today. Now I have one more that I want to share. I'm actually going to be posting a reel that demonstrates this one. So I wanted to showcase how pretty the snowflake images are just stamped. So this is all heat embossed, but this one is just stamped, again, with a little bit of ink blending. So similar design to this one, but no heat embossing. So if you don't have the heat embossing tools at home, you can certainly do some beautiful projects with this stamp set, just stamped. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks for coming on a day that we don't normally get together, but I appreciate it. We were very happy to be where we were last night, and I will see you next week on my regular day and time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.